Good afternoon, and welcome to this second webinar on Erasmus Plus Key Action 2 funding opportunities. My name is Alberto Forte, and I'm the co-chair of the task force that has organized this event. This is actually the second time that we organize this type of event, which is addressed to the entire EC2U community. What does it mean, EC2U community? This kind of event is primarily addressed to all the researchers and professors belonging to the 10 EC2U universities, meaning the 9 European universities plus the University of Lviv, that is an associated partner of the Alliance. But as you can see, the target of this webinar are also the non-academic associated partners of the Alliance that you can see listed there, because as you will see in a while, they can play a key role in the design of Erasmus Plus projects. So if we go on the previous slide, we can see an overview of today's seminar. So we will start with an introduction of the Erasmus Plus task force, who we are and what we do for the EC2U community. Then we will have a focus on the EC2U virtual institutes and looking into the connections that the virtual institutes have with the Erasmus Plus program. Then we will go in depth have an overview of all the Key Action 2 funding opportunities offered by the Erasmus Plus program, with a special focus on cooperation partnerships and Erasmus Mundus. And for this reason, we will have 2 professors and researchers from our community giving their testimonial about their experience with this kind of projects. At the end, we will have a questions and answers session. So we ask you either to write in the chat the questions if you have questions during the presentation, or you can raise your hand and take the word during the last session, and we will try to reply to your questions. So I don't lose any more time, and I will pass the word to my colleague Stephanie Waterstand, who is the co-chair from the University of Vienna, who is the co-chair of the Erasmus Plus Joint Project Task Force, and will introduce to you our work. Please, Stephanie.
Thank you very much, Alberto. So very warm welcome from Jena. We are happy to have you here and to meet and present you the goals of the task force and also the projects, in which we will dive into a little bit later. So what are the main objectives of our task force within EC2U? We would like to support with the structure new Erasmus applications with focus of joint applications, which means that we would like to network to bring potential interested applicants together. And that means that within such an application, it can be composed out of EC2U, but it's also possible to add some additional partners as well. So what we also want to create is an active group of experts out of the international offices, departmental international offices, and the research centers who are focusing on Horizon projects, etc., and for sure also to cooperate closely with our academic colleagues and partners, and to reach out to a wider community outside of the work packages, and also to reach out to associated partners. In that respect, we call them external stakeholders, those associated partners, taking into account that this City-University Alliance is focusing on the universities, but also its surroundings. So just to stress that this is really a core objective of our alliance. And What we also want to focus on in the next months and years to come is to fully, as much as possible, integrate our associated partner, the University of Lviv Ivan Franko National University, in our alliance, and to involve them more actively in mobility exchange, but also in the European project development. So I could switch to the next slide. Thank you very much. So what is it all about? We want to promote the funding opportunities of the European Union within Erasmus, so mostly the KA2 projects. And we want to see how we can deepen topics that are maybe an additional outcome of our work package, but maybe also to address new topics that are not exclusively part of the Alliance already. And in that respect, we want to develop together with you guidance and transform your ideas into potential new projects within our alliance to also develop future perspectives for the alliance in the next years to come. As we already said, we want to support the communities, the academic communities, the administrative communities, but also our associated partners as the student association that was already mentioned, or the hospital corporations, or also school corporations, and create in that respect new synergies with you, and try to really deepen the city-university landscape that is surrounding us in our city-university cities. Yeah, and last but not least, we are trying to collect data and see what has been already successful, make project ideas and make them visible, let them circulate within our group, and also look for success stories, best practices, and disseminate those project ideas, best practices, and also potential strategies that might come out of our common discussions. Okay, so this was the main overview about our activities, and now I hand over to Gaia.
Thank you, Stephanie. Yes, please, Gaia Garancini from the University of Pavia, presenting the main funding opportunities for teachers and researchers. Please, Gaia.
Thank you very much, Alberto and Stephanie. Here I am. So in this part of the presentation, I would like to give you a short overview about the Erasmus Plus program, which, as you may already know, is the flagship program for the European Commission covering education, training, youth, and sport. Erasmus Plus in this current phase covers the period 2021-27. We will soon have another funding period, but for the moment, let's stick to this one. The budget is quite generous, as you can see, and we will dwell this in just a sec. The funding channels of the program are quite diversified in itself, so we do have different key action. Again, I will go back to this in a moment, that are covering different parts and different scopes of the program itself. And we do have some transversal EU priorities, which you can see here in the slide. We go from inclusion to environmental sustainability, digital transformation, etc. These priorities has to be conceived in a way, a sort of transversal themes, transversal topics, which should be keep in mind. You should keep in mind always when projecting or thinking about initiatives and individual mobilities or structural projects to be carried out within the Erasmus program, because they are truly the basement on which the Erasmus Plus program itself was defined. Going back to the key action, here we list two of them. There is a third one, which is not really, for the moment, relevant to our scopes. Key action one is the one more related to individual mobility. So it's typically the one related to student mobility, staff mobility for teaching or for studies. So this is not the topic for today. We will focus on key action two, which on the contrary is really the one based on structural programs involving the whole institution and networks and partnerships going beyond the institution itself to go in a transnational and structural dimension. So key action 2 itself is divided in many different sub-actions, let's say like this. Today, we will just focus on two of them, but this slide is meant to inform you that there are several ones. And as Stephanie was mentioning before, we as a key action 2 focus group and target group, but also international officers within all the EC2U institution are more than ready and happy to help you navigating this complexity of key action 2 and finding the right scheme for your project ideas or cooperation ideas as well. So again, I will focus on 2 of them today. The first one is cooperation partnership. And this is a sum up slide. I would like to start from the fact that cooperation partnership is an action which can be really wide in its scope, in its activities, and in its purposes and objectives. I like it to think it this way, that the cooperation partnerships can be created when a challenge or a need is there. So the real starting point of this action is to identify some common needs for change, for development, or for evolution within a single institution that again can be shared within our other institution at European scale, and leads to to think about the project, some specific activities, some curriculum development activities or training activities for academic staff, or development of green skill or digital skills within some curriculum. So some real and concrete example of how our, as universities, institutional, academical, and operational way of doing things can be improved, can evolve, and can assume a more transversal and transdimensional scale. So really, in a transnational dimension, we can learn from each other, develop new practices, develop new methods, and create something new and innovative for ourselves and for other institutions as well. Just to give you some ideas of a technical data about this action, this is an action that I was mentioning can be really diverse and wide in its scope, in its actions, and in its purposes. And in this sense, it can vary as well quite a lot in terms of budget. We can choose to go ahead for a smaller project, starting from a smaller budget, and then go on a bigger one, and accordingly the duration can be different. So we range from 12 to 36 months, depending again on the complexity and on the difficulty and on the real scope of the action we would like to design. The partnership is made of minimum 3 public or private organizations from 3 different EU countries. I was briefly mentioning before that this is a EU-centered action, meaning that non-EU countries are accepted, can be part of the partenariat, but we do have to prove and to demonstrate that they bring an added value which could not be covered by EU partners themselves. So we are really welcome to invite new countries, but again, keeping in mind that we have to justify their presence in the partnership. There is no maximum number of participants, but in our, it's overall standard that 5 to 6 partners are quite a good standard. And it is very important to mention here that non-academic partners are really welcome. So going back to what Alberto was mentioning before, it's really important, and it's a tool to widen, to go out a little bit from our academic perspective, and to involve non-academic partners, external stakeholders, in order to, again, to help us designing innovative procedure, or to enhance the quality of our curricula by bringing outside experience within the academia. This is something really important. Going to the second action, this is Erasmus Mundus. This is something quite different. So here we do work on the construction of joint master program involving different European institutions. The keywords here are excellence, internationalization, innovation, and quality. So the main goal is to build up a master program which is innovative, meaning that there is not something like this already offered in the European education system landscape. They have to be attractive, meaning that they have to be able to attract not only students from EU countries, but also from non-EU countries. And as we will see in the next slide, in this sense, a huge part of the budget is allocated to fund scholarship for students coming from non-EU country. We have to be innovative and we have to be excellent. So we have to really build up a program combining the major strengths and point of force of different universities in order to build up this joint program. The action, as you will see in the slide, is divided in two different sub-actions. The first one on the left is like the preparatory phase. So we can ask for a grant to set up all the preparatory activities which are needed to design this high-level study program, like meeting with partners, starting understanding the differences or the point in commons, and really starting to develop and to design the program. In this kind of preparatory measure, we do have a single beneficiary, meaning that a single institution is going to receive the coordinator, is going to receive the grant, and then organize all these preparatory activities. Whereas the second sub-action, which is the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master itself, is a far more complex and completely different kind of project, which really focus on the provision of the master study course, which have been designed before. Here we do have a partnership, so the minimum is 3 higher education institutions from at least 3 different countries. And these different countries has to be at least 2 different EU countries. Again, here it is possible and it is really appreciated the involvement of non-academic partners, again, because the ratio is that they can bring an added value, they can really boost the innovation aspect and the quality aspect of this master program. Last slide, we do have, again, some key data about the 2 actions. It is really, everything is written here, so we will publish the slide and let them know. But actually, again, you can see that the budget and the duration is quite different from one action to the other. So the design measure is a smaller budget and the duration is 15 months, whereas for the joint master themselves, the duration is longer, because part of the program is to ensure at least 4 editions of the master program. So it's like 6 academic years of running, and the budget accordingly is really, really high. As I was mentioning before, a huge part of the budget is meant to cover student scholarship to attract excellent students, not only from EU countries, but also from non-EU participant countries. And that's it. This last slide is really dense. I see it is just a recap to be checked after the seminar, the webinar, and to see which action correspond to which deadline and which budget. Again, as I was mentioning before, our idea, our hope is that you can navigate a little bit these kind of possibilities and reach out to us, both in terms of key action to task group or for task force group or international officer at your institution to know more and to be guided to actually go ahead in submitting your application, hopefully really soon. So thank you for your attention, and I think I go back the word to Alberto.
Yes, thanks a lot, Gaia, for this very dense and useful presentation. Now I pass the word to my colleague Petronella Spiridon from the University of Iași, who will try to connect what you said about the different Erasmus sections with the EC2U virtual institutes that, as you know, are the building blocks of our alliance around which we are trying to build new initiatives and new projects. Please, Petronella.
Thank you, Alberto, for this introduction. Good evening, everyone. I'm Petronella Spiridon Ursu, an EC2U local coordinator at Alexandru Ioan Cuza University of Iași, and also responsible for the key action to Erasmus Plus projects at our institution. I will continue the presentation focusing, as Alberto already mentioned, focusing on how the virtual institute of the EC2U Alliance can serve as engine for securing external funding and building strong collaborative projects within our alliance. First of all, I have to mention that the EC2U is a hub for education, research, and innovation, and the virtual institutes are the strategic mechanism through which we focus our collective strength on solving global challenges. The core mission of the Institute is directly connected to the SDGs, to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. And as you can see on the screen, each institute covers a specific and high impact thematic area. More specifically, good health and well-being, quality education, sustainable city and communities, life on land, peace, justice, and strong institution, and also the transversal topic focus on materials and methods for a sustainable future. At the same time, all of these institutes are explicitly marked as target for Erasmus funding, demonstrating that they are prepared for external support. If it's possible, next slide. Thank you. So now, for us, the most relevant funding stream is the key action to Erasmus Fund for Cooperation Partnership in Higher Education. And the proposed project on this key action must address one or more key Erasmus program priorities. The beauty of the EC2U Virtual Institute is that they are inherently structured to meet the key Erasmus priority. So, as we can see, the good health and the well-being Virtual Institute align with inclusion and diversity, and also with building inclusive higher education system. The Virtual Institute on Quality Education align with promoting interconnected higher education system, and also with stimulating innovative learning and teaching practices. The Virtual Institute for Sustainable City and Communities align with environmental sustainability and fostering digital and green capabilities. So, continuing, the Virtual Institute for Peace, Justice, and Strong Institution align with participation in democratic life and supporting civic engagement. Nevertheless, the Virtual Institute for Materials and Methods for a Sustainable Future and the Virtual Institute for Life on Land directly address development STEM and enhancing the digital dimension. This means practically that any Erasmus project rooted in one of the EC2U Virtual Institute is automatically aligned with the priorities the European Union is seeking to fund. As my colleague Gaia already mentioned, forming a consortium for Erasmus KA2 project is also mandatory. A minimum of 3 organizations from 3 different European countries are needed. And the EC2U practically already provides this consortium platform. Instead of searching externally for partners, you can find peers from across 9 European universities who are already organized and within the EC2U Virtual Institute by common fields and topic of interest. Next slide, please. Okay, so moving deeper to enhance this, on this slide, I put some potential future joint project ideas aligned with the Erasmus program priorities. In case you are concerned with developing a new digital pedagogy for well-being, you have the opportunity to start with your peers from Glade Virtual Institute. If your focus is more on green skills for urban planners, for example, you will find your peers in Virtual Institute for Sustainable City and Communities. Also, if you are exploring digital labs for sustainable materials, for example, you can collaborate with peers in Virtual Institute for Material and Methods, and so on. By approaching your colleagues in the other EC2U university who participate in the EC2U Virtual Institute, you can quickly initiate a joint proposal, secure the required partnership, and focus your energy entirely on the project content. Now, if you wonder what activity the Virtual Institute can cover in an Erasmus KA2 project, The answer is anything that turns your idea into a concrete result. In conclusion, I have to say that the EC2U Virtual Institute are more than just a thematic umbrella. They are our strategic advantage in the Erasmus Plus funding landscape, providing the topic, the partners, and the Erasmus priority alignment needed for the success. So I was very concrete on this. I hope it's very interesting and you will come in our virtual institute. And in order to have more concrete examples, I will pass the word to my colleagues. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Petronella. Now, and we would like to give the word to two testimonials, two professors from our alliance that can share with us their experience in similar projects that they conducted in the past. So, first of all, I would like to introduce to you Professor Natalia Pellegata, who is a professor of the University of Pavia, who kindly accepted to share her experience in the Erasmus Mundus projects. So please, Natalia, I know that you have a presentation, so you should be able to share it.
Okay, so thank you, Alberto. So hello, everyone. Let's see if I can share the screen. Let me go back to the beginning. So, okay. So hopefully, so do you see it in presentation mode?
Yeah, now full screen. You can go.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, so thank you, Alberto, for this opportunity. So I will not take too much of your time. I've been the coordinator of this Med for Cancer project that had as a focus or as a goal to set up a new international master degree in cancer biology. So we have been working on this for a few years. So we were successful in the first design measure application. So we got funding for a year to set up actually the final application. And we have been working on this. Unfortunately, so far it was not funded, but we have improved it every year. So the project, the topic of the project fits with one of the EU mission areas, and so is cancer. And basically in this slide, there is a summary of everything that the project would like to achieve. And so you can see on top the partners. So the three core partners are the University of Pavia as coordinator, and then the University of Montreal in Canada, and the University of Montpellier in France. And so we were trying to build a very interesting curriculum with special courses that come from what we can usually offer to the students, but also some dedicated courses that were introduced to make the program more appealing to the students. And we have extensive mobility, as you will see in a minute. And I just want to point out that below you see a list of different partners that belong to this consortium. So there are three core partners and then a lot of other partners, both from academia and also from the private sector. So I don't want to go into a lot of details. So these are the core partners that I mentioned already. And this is the structure of this master program that we are proposing. So this is how it will be divided in different semesters. So the students will actually move to the different core partners. And then the final semester will be dedicated to the thesis internship. So we have really So this is a more detailed, let's say, the more detailed structure of the different semesters and what each semester will provide. So we've really tried to combine both courses and also practical courses, internships, so that students will have 2 internships in total, and also lectures given from specialists in specific fields that we have identified together with some stakeholders as really relevant now for providing the students with special skills that might help them to make them more employable in the future. So again, I don't want to go into the details of all the courses that we will offer with this program. So you can see here also a list of invited speakers that come from private sector, from academia, will cover many different topics that we think are interesting for the students, and will provide them with knowledge that is really relevant right now in the field. And this is also another important point of the project, was to involve also associated partners, both from academia. So you can see here some of the universities that are part of the Coimbra group, but also we extended to research hospitals, to other institutions, and also to to companies, to the private sector. So these are all associated partners to this project and can all provide specialists for seminars, placements for the internships, and can also help us with the promotion and the dissemination of the project. So basically, this is the structure of the project, the management bodies of the project. And I just want to say that, again, we decided to involve the private sector also to advise us on how to shape this program in a way that it should make it attractive, should make the students attractive to the labor market. So basically, what has been my experience with this project, as I said, so it was first of all, is an endeavor that we have been working on for a few years now, and it allowed me to really learn a lot about how to set up a master program, and what is, in a way, maybe for me as a teacher, as a professor, what goes on behind the scenes to organize such a program, and what you have to keep in mind to do that. And also, I became much more aware of what are the services that the universities can provide to the students that are very important for making the program attractive, and to really help informing students that are really that not only gain some knowledge on specific topics, but they also acquire other skills that are important for their daily life and for the future employment of the students. So to foster international communications, and I got to know a lot of people locally from the global, from international relations, and this really was very interesting for me to learn also about a lot of other possibilities that are out there for cooperation with academic partners worldwide. Thanks to these connections, to the network that was built, I was able to participate into this KA131 project for mobility of teachers. So I went to Montreal, which is one of the partner institutes, and it was really great experience, not only to improve my teaching skills, and but also to explore further possibilities for scientific cooperation, because this, for us, I guess, for me as a scientist, also goes hand in hand with all the activities on promoting this program. For the educational part, also, we had the chance to really meet a lot of great scientists and great institutions that also do science at a very high level. So all in all, I have learned a lot about how to prepare these proposals, and also everything that goes into preparing such a proposal. And especially for me, the added value was the network that I was able to generate thanks to this project, both locally but also internationally. So I hope that this can give you an idea about my experience with this Meta for Cancer project.
Okay, thanks a lot, Professor Pellegata, for this very inspiring presentation that showed how an Erasmus Plus project actually can, at the same time, in a way or the other, cover the three main missions of the university: education, research, and also outreach and service to society. So that's very inspiring. So now I have the pleasure to pass the word to Professor Yves Coubert from the University of Poitiers, who will present his experience on another kind of Erasmus Plus project, namely the cooperation partnership. So please, Professor Coubert, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. You hear me? Yeah.
Yes,
my name is
you can hear
Otis.
me well.
Yes, I have a pseudonym of Otis Pioche Dutaillan because he arranged for me the registration for the workshop. Sorry to be in late. I just ending Erasmus Plus training in Algeria for our colleagues, and the last session and the evaluation of the training was this afternoon, so it was quite difficult. So I've not the time to prepare slides. I just can contribute to the exchange about the assessment of cooperation partnership, the KA2 I am lead expert for the national agency in France, and involved since many years in the assessment of partnership application. And for sure, it's a very excellent action in order to create something in the family of Erasmus Plus actions. In this one, you can really create something innovative, convincing, and very useful in terms of impact in Europe, but involving also, if they are adding a specific adding value, partners from third country students. It's an opportunity in the program, and this can reinforce some link with our partner outside Europe. And since a few years, the proportion of application involving university members of European Alliance is sincerely increased. And it was one of the goals of the European Commission when they created the European Alliance, to have a stronger framework in order to be more ambitious in the impact you expect in the European higher education area. That means that it's not application submitted by the whole Alliance, but by some member of the Alliance. But to be partner of a European Alliance means that you are already experienced to collaborate all together. So you are sharing the same methodology for project management. That means that you have a background in order to lead very efficiently the project. And the proportion of application with consortium involving member of Alliance is increasing for sure. And I think it could be a very good opportunities for EC2U Alliance to develop some partnership in our main competencies for different aspects. I don't know if
okay.
I have to respond to some specific point, because I lost the first part of your exchange, unfortunately.
Thanks a lot, Professor Kobe. I think that you touched another key point for this webinar, that is the main objective of this task force that we have created, and this kind of events that we are organizing. The idea of having the EC2U Alliance as a key reference point for all our community in terms of researchers and professors of the 10 universities, to find a good background and ground for, developing and designing new initiatives and new joint projects. So that's the idea exactly of having this kind of webinars. And in the future, we are also planning maybe to organize some more focused workshops on specific topics that can arise from the bottom, to put together researchers and try to develop new ideas and new projects in the framework of the EC2U Alliance, in the framework of the virtual institutes that Petronella presented. So we have still few minutes for any questions or or doubts that you can have. So please raise your hand if you want to ask something.
In any case, there was a question in the chat if we might share the slides afterwards, and yes, we will.
Yes, of course. Or if any of the presenters would like to add some reflection on what we presented, feel free.
Yes, maybe I would like to add something, because hearing the presentation of Professor Pellegata, I realized that maybe I didn't underline sufficiently the fact that for Erasmus Mundus Joint Master Program, and as Professor Pellegata was mentioning, the jointness, so the effort to build up a strong joint governing body made of all the university, made of the composing the partnership, is really crucial. So the important thing here is not only to have an innovative, excellent and master program, but to have it jointly designed, developed, and carried out by all the institution on a parity base, and on the, the jointness is a really key word that maybe I wasn't underlining enough. So thank you, Professor Pellegata, for reminding this important issue as well.
And if I may just add 2 points about the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master, there is also the possibility to apply for the Erasmus Mundus design measures with a budget of 60,000 euros. And in that respect, you could already deepen the cooperation with potential partner universities for such a master program. And second, it's really crucial that you have to keep in mind that when you want to apply for the Erasmus Mundus Joint Master, you already have to have the master in place. And then this is really like an excellence program. So thank you again also, Professor Pellegata, for sharing this, for instance, in the field of cancer research with the Université de Montréal, because we are also cooperating with them, and knowing that certainly in the field of biotechnology, they are really like university. Not saying that we are not leading as a university alliance in those fields as well, but it's really important to find the partners that really fit with you. And another thing that could be helpful for building up such a master program would be, in the first place, to intensify already the guest student exchange within Europe via KA131, or outside of Europe via KA171, and to already foster those exchanges and to see how it works with your potential partners.
Yeah, indeed, yeah, you pointed out, Stephanie, rightly, because in fact, the project that Professor Pellegata presented, born as a design measure, that it's the easiest way to start building the proposal and then turn it into an Erasmus Mundus. There's a question in the chat. I read it, and maybe, I don't know if either Petronella or Gaia can answer. Could you tell a little bit more about the topics or needs that some cooperation partnerships have covered so far? So some examples, probably, if I understand well, Raquel, what you got.
Yes, maybe I can take this one. The point is really that, as Stephanie was mentioning and Petronella as well, this is a wide variety of topics and of action that you can carry out. Typically, it can be like curriculum development, so maybe identifying some like skills or some aspects of the curriculum which has not been developed enough by the single institution that they would like to figure out how to improve in this sense, or for instance, how to incorporate some specific innovative teaching methodology within an existing curriculum. For instance, here in Pavia, we did have an experience in like better equipping universities in teaching and in adopting green skills and teaching digital skills and green skills to students as well. So it's really something I'm always like trying to think about, that if it's a need there, a cooperation partnership can be somehow conceived and maybe carried out. In my perspective, we can maybe divide cooperation partnership in two main fields, like the first one covering academic and educational aspects. So how to better improve the teaching of this or that topic, or how to better equip students with the specific skills at the end of their study paths. The first group, and the second one could be more related to how to organizationally speaking tackle some difficulties in, for instance, welcoming international students or dealing with certain specific aspects of our academic life. So but really, I'm sorry if I seems too vague, but really the variety and the scope of the action can be really wide, and in this sense, the involvement of non-academic partners is really crucial, because they can bring an added value and a specific perspective who can help us like identifying our needs and then turning them into strengths in a way.
Just to add, Gaia, there is, for instance, the possibility to form future teachers together in international competences and to cooperate with schools. Just to get back to the point what Gaia was stressing out about innovative teaching methods, we all know that still teacher education is a very national, one-way structured program often. And so this could be one track. Another thing is also to think about your proper discipline you want to develop the project and you want to implement it. And what our national agency in Germany stressed out also for the next Erasmus Plus period to come is that they are thinking and might focus also on democracy support. So for instance, how can we support our students in being active and supportive for democracy within the European Union, and how to share the values of the European Union also within our curriculum designs. And this could be a very important topic for the next years to come, as we all know that this topic is very important and vibrant in all our societies.
Thank you, Stephanie. There is another question in the chat. How could we develop a network in order to ascertain what other colleagues are willing to organize or cooperate? Maybe this is a question that you, Stephanie, can answer.
So I didn't catch the question, Alberto.
Yeah, basically how to find colleagues that are interested in joining a consortium. That's exactly
Okay,
one
thank
of
you.
the goal.
Yeah, So what we would like to do in our task force is really to collect your interests. And as Alberto was also saying, to think about designing some webinar on specific topics. And this could be a possibility to find matches. So that means in practical terms, for instance, if you are part of the Université de Poitiers and you are interested in a cooperation partnership project, then you could send your interest directly to the international office or to the colleagues within EC2U, the EC2U coordinators, and then they could share those interests with us. And we will be in charge to see how we can match those fields of interest and then forward us as colleagues within the task force to forward those interests of yours to our colleagues in the respective faculties and institutes. Is this more or less what you were expecting? Yeah, okay. If not, you can add something.
There is another question. Is the Modern Languages Joint Master Program recognized and accredited across all participating countries, particularly Romania? But this is probably more a technical question about one of the joint masters of the EC2U Alliance. Currently, yeah, I also maybe Miriam can answer, but the idea is that, I mean, for example, with cooperation partnership projects, we can also think to develop some specific modules for additional learning experiences, also even for the current EC2U joint masters. But yeah, that's not that's one of the possibilities.
And maybe what I would like to add is that with the lessons we already learned within the Alliance by building up master programs in the last years, I think there's already a lot of work done and institutional knowledge established on which we can rely on and develop this further. And not, I wouldn't say that we can copy paste the experiences, because as we said, it always is depending on the discipline you are working in and the research field you are active. But yeah, there is a lot to learn already by the colleagues who established those joint masters and yeah, by the experience that is already given. So in that respect, there's already a lot to rely on. Yeah.
Okay, so we have almost reached the 1 hour we promised to keep as a timing. So if you have any questions, you can reach us at this email address. Beyond this email address, you will find for each of the 10 EC2U University, 1 or 2 experts from the international office, typically, that are experts in the key action to project design. So that's the best way to circulate your ideas and to address to us and to us, I mean, and where you can find support from us. So if there is no other interventions or questions, we can probably close here the webinar. So thanks a lot for your participation. You will receive the presentation we shared, and this webinar will be also uploaded on the EC2U YouTube channel, so you can also circulate it within your colleagues and spread the word about Erasmus Plus funding opportunities.